Hello everyone. In this class, we will mainly introduce the concept and classification of exceptions. During the process of programming, we often encounter several types of errors. The first type is syntax errors, such as missing semicolons, mismatched parentheses, or undefined variables. To solve these errors, we need to identify the specific code line causing the error and modify the program according to the syntax requirements until it compiles successfully. The second type is incorrect runtime results, such as incorrect calculations or infinite loops. To solve these errors, we need to analyze the program logic and check the correctness of the algorithms. The third type is errors that occur during program execution, causing the program to terminate. Examples include incorrect input formats, file not found errors, or database connection failures. To solve these errors, we need to add exception handling to the program. This chapter introduces the third type of error, which is the handling of exceptions. But what exactly is an exception? Simply put, an exception is an unexpected situation that occurs in a program. There are many reasons for exceptions to occur, such as accessing array elements out of bounds, performing mathematical operations with a divisor of 0, or attempting to access a non-existent file. Many different factors can lead to the occurrence of exceptions. It's safe to say that programs cannot completely avoid exceptions. Java provides a wide range of exception classes, all of which inherit from the Java Lang throwable class. The inheritance hierarchy of throwable is shown in the figure, which demonstrates that Java has defined many classes to represent various types of exceptions. From the inheritance hierarchy of exceptions, we can see that the throwable class has two direct subclasses, error and exception. These represent two different types of errors. The error class is known as an error class, and it represents system-level internal errors generated while the execution of Java program, or resource exhaustion errors that occur at runtime. These errors are severe and cannot be recovered by modifying the program itself. Application programs do not need to catch or handle these critical errors. On the other hand, the exception class is known as an exception class. It represents errors that the program itself can handle. In the development of Java programs, the exception handling is primarily focused on the exception class and its subclasses. This chapter mainly focuses on the exception class and its subclasses. The exception classes can be further divided into two categories: runtime exceptions and checked exceptions. Runtime exceptions, also known as runtime exception, are exceptions thrown during program execution, even if programmers don't handle them explicitly during compilation. The program can still be compiled. The runtime exception class and its subclasses are used to represent runtime exceptions. Checked exceptions, also known as checked exception. It is worth noting that the name checked exception is a collective term for checked exceptions, and there is no specific class with this name. They are also referred to as compile time exceptions or non-runtime exceptions. These exceptions require programmers to handle them during coding. Otherwise, the program will not compile. Except for the runtime exception class, all subclasses under the exception class are used to represent checked exceptions. In the next section, we will learn how to catch and handle both runtime and checked exceptions using exception handling structures. But why do we differentiate between them? The main reason is that runtime exceptions can generally be resolved by optimizing the code. For example, adding condition checks to avoid index out of bounds, or division by 0 exceptions. On the other hand, Checked exceptions are often unavoidable for developers, such as network timeouts or file not found situations. Therefore, JVM, Java Virtual Machine, requires developers to explicitly handle these checked exceptions, or else the code won't compile. Due to the performance impact of exception handling, it is recommended to use logical checks as much as possible to avoid runtime exceptions. The throwable class defines many methods for retrieving exception information. The table below lists some common methods. getMessage. This is the most frequently used method, which retrieves the detailed description of the exception. print_stacktrace. This method can output the sequence of method calls that cause the occurrence of an exception to the console. It can also output the information of sequence to a specified output stream, such as a file. Due to the inheritance characteristics, subclasses of throwable can directly invoke these methods by reusing the attributes and methods of the superclass. In this lesson, we primarily introduced the concept and classification of exceptions, providing a preliminary understanding for everyone. We will discuss in detail how various exceptions occur and how to handle them in subsequent content. In Java, exception classes are all subclasses of. What is the classification of exceptions in the Java language? That concludes this lesson. Thanks.